Have you ever driven across one of those massive bridges or maybe under a huge gantry on the highway and just kind of stopped and thought, wow, how in the world does all of this stay up? We are literally surrounded by these incredible feats of engineering. And you know what? Today, we're going to peel back the layers on one of the invisible systems that keeps them and us safe. And the answer is surprisingly small. So let's get into it. So let's just start with a really big question. When you look at these structures, we're talking thousands upon thousands of tons of steel and concrete hanging right over your head. What do you think is the single most critical component? What is that one thing above all else that's holding it all together? I mean, it's got to be something huge, right? Something super complex? Well, the answer is actually surprisingly small. It's the mechanical fastener. Yeah, the humble nut and bolt. These small, often completely overlooked components are the true, unsung heroes of our entire infrastructure. They're what mechanically connect every single critical element. It's an incredibly simple concept, but one with, well, enormous responsibility. And that responsibility, that is exactly what we're going to focus on. Because while these things may be small, the story of why a single bolt matters is anything but. The integrity of our world, and I mean this literally, hangs on these tiny threads.
Because the risk here is it's immense. And this isn't just some theoretical thing. Major infrastructure failures have been traced back to substandard bolts. A single faulty, maybe counterfeit or just incorrectly installed fastener can compromise an entire structure. The stakes are unbelievably high, which means you can't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. You need a system, a rigorous, verifiable system to make sure every single one is up to the job.
And that system, it has a name. It's called the National Highway Sector Scheme 3. You can think of this as the official rulebook. It's a dedicated quality management system designed specifically for the stocking and distribution of mechanical fasteners for all of our highways. So you might see this logo on official documents. It's basically a stamp of approval, a promise of quality. But what does it actually mean to be part of a sector scheme? I know it sounds a little bureaucratic, but the core idea is actually really simple and incredibly powerful. So here's the deal. At its heart, a National Highway Sector Scheme, or NHSS, takes the world-renowned standard for quality management, that's ISO 9001, and then it adds these specific, extra layers of requirements that are tailored for a very particular job. In this case, NHSS 3 is all about making absolutely sure that the nuts and bolts used in highway construction are safe and reliable, period. So how does this playbook actually work out there in the real world? How does it guarantee that the little fastener holding a giant sign above your car is exactly what it claims to be? Well, it all comes down to a few core principles. And here they are. It all boils down to these three pillars: accountability, traceability, and verification. Every single part of the scheme is designed to strengthen these three areas, creating a chain of quality that, in theory, can't be broken. Let's break each one down. Okay, first up, accountability. The whole system works because it defines a crystal clear chain of responsibility. You've got the manufacturer who actually makes the bolt, then there's the main supplier who stocks and distributes it, then the organization that supplies it to the final job site for the customer. Everyone has a very specific role and a list of responsibilities. There are absolutely no gray areas. Next, we have traceability. And honestly, the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think of it like a passport. Every single manufacturing lot, or, a batch of fasteners gets its very own unique passport that has to follow it everywhere it goes. And that passport follows the fastener on its entire journey. See, a lot is created with a unique ID. All the vital documents, like the manufacturer's own test certificates, are attached. Then, that lot is tracked through the entire supply chain. And this is the crucial part. Even if a giant box of, say, 10,000 bolts gets split into 100 smaller boxes, that traceability is maintained for every single one. So when it finally arrives on site, the customer has a complete, unbroken history right back to the factory floor. And finally, we get to verification. Now, this isn't just a paper trail. This is about physical checks and balances. The scheme makes it mandatory for suppliers to perform really rigorous checks. They have to review the manufacturer's certificates to make sure they're authentic. They inspect all the paperwork. They even take samples from a batch to test their physical dimensions and their mechanical strength. The whole point is that this is an active process designed to catch problems and, most importantly, prevent counterfeit or substandard parts from ever reaching a construction site in the first place. So we've got accountability, traceability, and verification. Together, they create this powerful safety net. But what makes the system truly solid is its transparency. This isn't some industry secret, it's a system that you can actually check for yourself. And the difference this system makes, well, it's pretty stark. Without something like NHS 3, you're looking at a huge risk of counterfeit parts. You have no idea where components really came from, quality is all over the place, and there's no clear accountability. But with NHS 3, you get the exact opposite. A closed loop of verified suppliers, full traceability, mandatory testing, and clear roles for everyone involved. It completely replaces uncertainty with assurance. And that feeling of assurance, it goes beyond just the industry. There's a public-facing tool that adds a final, really powerful layer of trust. It's called UCAS CertCheck. It's a free, online database where literally anyone, a project manager, a safety inspector, or hey, even a curious member of the public, can go online and verify that a company's certification to one of these NHSS schemes is valid and up to date. You just type in the company's name. It's that transparency that makes the whole system truly accountable to everyone. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. We've gone pretty deep into the details of lot traceability and certification databases, but what does all of this really mean for us as we're just going about our daily lives? Well, the next time you find yourself driving on a highway, maybe you're stuck in a bit of traffic, just take a moment to really look at the structures around you, the gantries, the bridges, the barriers. And as you're looking, remember this invisible system that we've just talked about. Think about this incredibly detailed, meticulous playbook that governs every single one of the smallest components, holding it all together. Because that's the system that's ensuring your safety, right down to the last nut and bolt. It's really the ultimate proof that the integrity of our largest, most impressive structures relies entirely on the perfect execution of the very smallest details. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The National Highway Sector Scheme 3 is just one example of these hidden safety nets. So the question is, what other invisible systems are working all around us, in every single moment, to keep our complex world running safely?